sorry about that, I hadn't got my mic on ready, so sorry about that. But anyway, the purpose of this video is to be part of what I want to talk about, obviously in this one and another blog hopefully, is Motown music. Yes, Motown music is 50 years old. The record label that Gordy started was 50 Monday, I believe. Basically, Gordy started it in 1959, and basically by today, basically it is 50 years old, and I want to celebrate the wonderful record label. I have actually done another video on this one, but it's too long and it won't fit onto YouTube, so and it's not letting me edit it, so I have to re-record it again. So some of the bits and pieces might have to be done again, but never mind, we can sort of work that one out, or unless I can fit it all into this blog, I won't need to worry about it. First of all, I have to say that Motown accesses a lot of people in this world, which I don't sometimes like, because again you've got your average Joe public who basically relate to Motown music in their own way, but they only like it a little bit. They're not probably die-hard fans. I mean, I like the die-hard fans that are into Motown, but there are people that go to discos and parties and weddings and go to town and that, and they obviously listen to the radio, and they'll own things like Baby Love by Dinosaurs and Supremes and Greatest Hits of Stevie Wonder and things like that, and say that they like Motown music, but they're not really big fans, because they don't go outside of the box. They won't go and explore something else that is in the Motown archives, which is a bit more than your average piece of Motown music. I have quite a lot of Motown music, like the Telephone Motown CDs. Can't remember what I did with them, but oh, here they are. There's a few of them here, basically, that I own. My favourite, Isley Brothers Greatest Hits, but I think I'll put the here we are. Things like this, Telephone Motown, and Volume 2 and Volume 3. Basically great pieces of music on Motown that feature not only rare stuff, but they were all in the archives basically, which was great in Motown's day, because you had like records by Stevie Wonder and the Monitors that you went into the recording studio to record these tracks, and Gordy would say, not good enough for a single release, not good enough even to put on an album. So they would be kept in the archives all these years later, and then often then not, it would 40 years later, 50 years later, or whatever, well, about 40 years later I would say, it comes back out again, because they've often revisited and thought, there's an idea, we'll stick that one on there. And things like Dinosaurs and the Supremes, Let the Music Play, Supremes Rarities, 1960 to 1969, all of them tracks on that CD are from the archives, and there's so much in the archives of Motown, it's unbelievable. Baby Love by the Velvets is still in there, and the closest to a recorded version of that one is basically the Velvets did an alternative version of He Was Really Saying Something, and they used the Baby Love backing track. Things like This Old Heart of Mine by the Four Tops, I believe, recorded, not released, and so on. I think I'm going to try and talk about some classic Motown LPs in my collection that basically I have, which would be wonderful to talk about in a blog, showing some of my rare, or some Motown LPs. I'm not saying they're all rare, I think I'll just give you a taster of one of them. This isn't exactly a Motown record, but it's Rick-Tick Relics. It's Rick-Tick label that was a part of the Motown family, and it features some of the greatest Motown songs, I believe, in there. Personally, Real Humdinger, and you've got things like JJ Barnes Again, Please Let Me In, and Edwin Starr, Stop Her On Sight, SOS, which is absolutely fantastic piece of music. And I think before I close this part down on Motown, I should really talk about the best Motown songs, in my opinion, my favourite. Because everybody has a favourite Motown track. Generally, I think when I talk about not necessarily being into, not necessarily liking all the well-known tracks as much as maybe some of the rarer ones, I like all of them on Motown really. I have no preference. But normally when I do listen to Motown and I want to play some of it, I don't just want to play the obvious tracks because it gets a bit boring, and I'm sure many Motown fans do believe that. And I think some of the radio stations and shows haven't really embraced on this one too much because they've been playing a lot of records and they'll say, well, it's not the most obvious track. I'll play a Martha Reeves, Nowhere to Run or something like that. No, Heatwave, may I add. But I'm thinking, well, why play Heatwave by Martha Reeves and Vandellas? It's popular. You can't turn around and say it's not popular when it is. It was in the charts, for crying out loud. It was in the top 40 in the UK singles chart. Does that not make it popular? So technically I think there's a lot to be had. And my favourite Motown record of all time, regardless of the fact that it is a popular record, is This Old Heart of Mine by the Isley Brothers, because it's just got the most incredible lyrics, melody, music you'll possibly ever hear on a record. Absolutely. But I like a lot of Motown stuff, and I do like a lot of Motown stuff that was recorded as cover versions, because they did that a lot. You know, Motown stars would do a record, well, it was assigned to them, and therefore what would happen is they'd assign it and they'd record it, and then all of a sudden, you know, a couple of months later or a few years later, it's back out again, but somebody else has done it on Motown. You know, there's all these different versions. This Our Heart of Mine being recorded by Dynamite and Supremes, Tammy Terrell, as well as obviously the Isley Brothers. But my other favourite records on Motown would be J.J. Barnes' Real Humdinger, Jimmy Ruffin, He Who Picks a Rose, Stevie Wonder, Nothing's Too Good for My Baby, which is brilliant. Four Tops, A Place for the Sun, a wonderful take on the Stevie Wonder classic. Smokey Robinson, A Whole Lot of Shaking Going On in My Heart, which is fantastic, written by Frank Wilson, who made one of the greatest Northern Soul records and Motown songs of all time, Do I Love You Indeed I Do, which I should really talk about in the next blog, because there were some people who don't really know about that record and they might want to know a little bit of a story about it. The Supremes, Baby I Need Your Lovin', a take on the Four Tops classic. The Spinners, What More Could a Boy, or Can a Boy Ask For, may I add. Gotta get the title of the song right. My Two Arms Equals Tears by the Elgins, that's another good record that basically was on Motown. On the unreleased stuff, that was basically come out years and years later on Cellarful of Motown, and they were responsible for recording Heaven Must Have Sent You, but originally that was assigned to Dynamite and Supremes. But again, they recorded it and it got shelved by Motown and come out something like 20 odd years later on one of those like compilations that they do. You know, they dig them out in the 60s, not in the 80s. They've got like one or two rarer records that have come out, and Dynamite and Supremes have had them on their latest sort of like album or CD 30, like, but you know, that kind of thing. And lastly, Just a Little Misunderstanding by the wonderful Jackson 5, as done by the wonderful The Contours, but the Jackson 5 did an absolutely fantastic version that you could never even imagine that they would even do it, but it was just brilliant. And I would say that I want to give a couple of mentions out to things like Marvin Gaye, Sonny, another one of the greats on Motown, The Temptations, Ain't Too Proud to Beg, Martha Reeves, Since You've Been Gone, which is from the archives, brilliant stuff, also done by the Four Tops years and years ago, and Junior Walker and the All-Stars, I Ain't Going Nowhere, which is probably, in my opinion, another classic track. And not like many, Junior Walker was a bit of a strange one on Motown, because he had all that, you know, saxophone and goodness knows what, and you know, he wasn't really the sort of Motown style you would expect, you know, instrumentals at the ready, you know, Pucker, but he made some good songs like Pucker Up Buttercup and Roadrunner and various other ones, you know. What does it take to win your love? Ba-da-ba-ba-da-da-da. So I have to think that Junior Walker's wonderful. So there you go. that's my first part of me rambling on about Motown music. You know, the birthday of Motown. I do. Hopefully, will give you a taste of some LP. Well, I gave you one earlier, but some LPs on my next blog. Basically, Motown LPs, stuff that is made for Motown. You know, because Motown LPs and records are rare as hen's teeth. Some of them are far rare that you couldn't even afford one, not with your wages. But anyway, that's another story, so stay tuned. Bye for now.